Hi everybody, we're here for a final flip through of the composition glue book. Ta-da, ta-da, I finished off those last pages by myself. You figured that out already, right? So anyway, this was the composition book. I did not remove any pages. I only worked on one side. There is scrap of paper on the outside cover. Sorry, just the front. This is magazine, this is magazine, and this is magazine in here. I did skip around. I didn't work front to back, so that's pretty good. If you've never seen that, I saw someone show that on YouTube one time. If you work front to back, this seam area, I don't know why, but it shifts way around. I mean, I guess it's still okay intact, but for some reason we don't want that. So you're supposed to work, you know, alternating where you work, skip around. So I started this last January, well, this past January 2025, because for some reason Christmas just really threw me last year. I was having a hard time getting, you know, 'cause I don't craft as much with all the holiday hubbub, so I was having a hard time getting back in the groove. I wanted to do stuff, I didn't know what to do, so I thought, let's just glue. You just gotta, you know, as long as you're doing something, and that works, it gets you back in. So that was like, we're just gluing stuff, was this book. It's not really supposed to be a picture, a big composition, tell a story. It's not journaling about my life or anything. It's just gluing. And it's not collections. It's just gluing. Most of the pages are sort of like this, where they just all butt up against each other and you don't see negative space. Some you do. This you do. So I just, when I was looking through a magazine, would just cut out pictures I thought were kind of cool. You know, like this plate thing, this building. And then I would end up to complete a page, fill in with, that's like a chest on its side, some sort of pattern, you know, I don't know what that was, fabric or something. So I ended up looking through magazines to complete a page, okay? This is an old magazine of across stitch. This is actually a label. It's not a magazine, old label. There are a few oddball things in here, but 97% of it is magazine paper. You will notice Diane works with color mostly, which I think most people do, right? If you're totally new, you don't know what to do, just go with the color. You'll be all right. Trust me. This one I put these over this image. Most have a kind of a not appropriate, maybe it's inappropriate, makes you think about it kind of phrase. I also did not look through this book before I turned the camera on. I was going to. I thought, why don't you be smart, Diane, so you know what you're talking about. You know, if anything struck me, I wanted to mention anything. But then I thought, no, because a lot of these pages I haven't seen, you know, since January or something when I did it. So we can kind of see them fresh together. This is nice. This is one image there. I left the, you know, the divider there, the border. Maybe you should have looked, Diane, first. Nice. It's a lot easier if you start with a large image. It goes a lot faster. I was finding that, I mean, you know, duh, you know, that's obvious, right? But when you'll see some coming up that I kind of pieced in with a lot of little pieces, that is more tedious, takes more time, more searching, but, you know, that's okay too. A lot of these have videos. I would say probably most do, but I work quite a bit by myself too. This is washi tape here. Well, down here too. what sort of magazines you have too is going to dictate what your stuff looks like. I don't really have a ton. I don't receive a ton. I don't really receive varieties of stuff. If you do, you're ahead of the game on that. See, now this one is sort of complementary colors, but it's still, because of that, to me, it has a color theme. You know, if you don't like that, you don't want to get into that, well then don't. Just stick, I could have stuck with the green stuff. Now this one's a little different. They don't butt up. There's gaps, but that's nice too. And there's no word on this either. If you want to do something like that, you know, that's very pleasing and pleasant. You know what I mean? It's easy on the eye. If you want a completed book that maybe you could just flip through and relax, that would be good for that. Something like this. I mean, not that this is gonna, you know, knock your socks off, but you know, there's a lot more going on here. So it's not as relaxing. Some things I would fussy cut here and there to be a little more interesting, or I didn't want, you know, I think this was a knob. I didn't want whatever was behind it. I didn't want to make it a square, so that was just sort of a logical cut. That's kind of neat. See, now this one, the phrase definitely goes with it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did that on camera. This one, I will say, these are towels, I think they were. That is all fussy cut and put over. If you want to do more of that, that is a very cool look. It's much more integral, if that's a word, integrated, if you will. But that's not really what this book was about. That's a lot more work and a lot more thought. This is an old one. That's nice. Now that, you know, phrase goes with. I didn't always, see, that's just the book page back there. I didn't always cover up gapping. Now that one's solid. No word on that. It's pretty cool. This is fussy cut and put over the stripes here. Now this has lots of gaposis. I did put some paper down to cut down on the lines. As you all know, Diane has issues with lines. I mean, you know, you don't take a drawing class and they hand you a paper with lines on it, right? You know, they shouldn't be there. But that's what this is, so. Now this one's pretty easy. There is washi tape between. As I recall, there was a little bit of gapping there. That's why I put that in. But that probably adds. Once again, I'll repeat, if you have bigger images, it's easier. And you know, something like that is easier on the eye too, just because there's not so much stuff. See, now this one is lots of filling. This is washi tape, but lots of little filling in things, even on the side here. That's really narrow. Now this one does not have so much filling in. This is washi tape on the side. This lamp, yeah, that was added. You can see a little bit of line down there. Added into the frame. That's an old one. Yeah, I'd say pretty mod. Now, this one actually has 2 words. This is cool. Very color driven. Sometimes too, like this plate image or whatever it was cut here and here. That's just the way it was in the magazine. So I didn't have a whole lot of choice. You know, I had to place it, to me, on an edge, or I could have done something like this, but sometimes the images tell you where they want to go. This is an old one. This is a book or magazine page, and then this was part of a postcard. The cats. This is old book page here, actually. That may be the only book page in this. That's nice. That one's a tad different as far as colors go. I mean, we have these rusty reds, but then there's black and white too. That's a little different with the negative space there, but that's cool too. I like that. See this too, the colors are different, yet there's this big peachy pink area here, and then we pull it over with this. A little bit of blue, a little bit of blue, so you're kind of, you know, it's different colors, but you have enough of it, so it's not like, why is there blue on there, you know, to me anyway. Lots of pink. This is a note card. Yeah, these pages are kind of curled though, can you see that? Which, I just leave this book sitting here because I work on it all the time. I would think, once it's up on a bookshelf and that, it should straighten out. A large image here out of a magazine. This one I pieced in with a lot of plain, as you can see. That was one of the first ones. Color. Color. Now that's pretty cool. This is its own image here. This is washi tape. That actually, I did trim it. That's why it's narrow. That's nice. This has a bit of a horse theme. Most of them do not have a subject theme. That's kind of cool. I like this area, is very nice. This one's a tad different. I think because kind of the image is the way it was with that frame. And then I added this chair, obviously. That's kind of cool. And that's an interesting idea too. You can take a bigger image but put stuff on it, you know. That's collage too. Cool. We just did that not too long ago. Was that even in the last one? I've lost track. This is a few days later. This was one of the last ones I did. I finally, anybody recognize this? I pulled this out, I don't know, a dozen times. I finally used it. It's kind of cool. I don't know, but this is some sort of statue thing. I don't really know what it was, but that was the starting point. Yeah, watch too if you do something like this. Not so much this one. Let's see, where's an example. But if you have a larger image, it's sort of natural, I think, to start at the top. Just from, you know, the way we read. You kind of start at the top. That's fine, that's okay. But I think if you do that every single time in a book, it's going to get a little redundant. That's pretty, that's nice. There's some text in there. I hardly ever did that. That might be the only one. That's very nice. Kind of bold. I did use that elephant. I don't know if you guys saw that one. I don't remember. This image is this. That's what was left of it. That's sort of nice. See, we have like red in this blue, red and blue, red and blue. Alright, this was the last page. That's why we used finally, and because I finally used that backgammon thing. And I even found finally in blue. How about that? Pretty cool, huh? This one, you probably didn't even notice. I took a couple of these designs. I don't know if they're supposed to be leaves. Because there was printing here on this tree image that I didn't like. It was kind of distracting. Go somewhere good. Good advice, huh? It's pretty, very fall-ish. Oh, here's a little text. I've lied. It's interesting. This is Fussy Cut, this frame. Well, that's kind of cool. Obviously a lot of circular action over here. That's pretty nice. You know, it's kind of a nice balance, I think, with that, and then this straight up and down stuff. And that's what some art expert would say, straight up and down stuff. This is a postcard. I think all the rest is magazine though. This one I just filled in with some color, you know, not a pattern or anything. As I recall, I think I had trouble with this one. I don't remember, but I couldn't get it positioned correctly. I think this was throwing it off, but in the end it's fine. Now that one's pretty cool. It's sort of this same multi orange, blue, white, black. See these three utensils. You know, I moved one down. I think that kind of helps your eye. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. Calming. That's all I had to say about that, okay? This is a tad different. This is all one magazine image. I added this bird. It's off the internet. I cut it out. And then this chair up here, you know, if you could imagine, oh, I have a paper here. If you could imagine, that would be fine. But I think that helps. So there still are compositions to these, but it's not like I guess like I really call a picture kind of collage. I don't know what to say about that one. It's green. Yeah, I don't know. It's nice. It's a little, I will say, a little kind of like this and this. I think that's okay because of the white writing or text. Green, teal, jade, give it a name. That's nice. It's interesting, isn't it, with this pouring action here and then two chairs. Okay. This is nice too. Pink kind of pulling you around there. Well, this is an older one. That's nice. And now this is over the vase. I think that's interesting. You probably could do it the other way around, but I did it over. I will say too, when I do stuff like this, I do often, like, I lined up this, you know, line with this line. Maybe you like it not lined up. It's a little more exciting, interesting, thought-provoking. Diane's brain goes, ooh, it's not lined up. And this is nice. Kind of the greens here. That's nice. Now that's quite different from the other ones, I think. That's interesting. With you know, this is how this was on an angle. So either I had to cut them apart, or one or the other was going to be on an angle. But I think that worked out pretty nice. And this looks nice with this. Those are all, I think they were postage stamps, right? Yeah. Anyway, the close-up of tulips, so it kind of goes with these buds or whatever they are down here, I think. Well, that's interesting. Lots of numbers there. And then we have style points. Get it? That's cool. That's neat. I really don't remember this one. Every other one I kind of remember. I don't I remember the puffins. I really don't remember doing this one. Yeah, I think somebody else did it. That doesn't look like me, does it? Of course I'm kidding. But no, I really don't remember this one. That's pretty nice. If you want me to criticize my own work, it probably could use a touch of red over here, because you have their bills and then this, and that's it. So if I was really an art teacher giving this a grade, I might go more like B plus, A minus. It needs red over there, okay? Oh, that's interesting. It's very similar colors. The kind of, I don't know what you call it, dusty teal, and then that terracotta color. This is out of a stamp book. Yeah, this one, I finally used that. I've had that since the very start of this book, and I just put it in. I think it was since the last video. It's a collage sheet image. Actually, it's pretty cool. It's an old doll shoe box, and then someone laid over these doll pieces you could buy. That was, it's all one sheet, but that's how they had it on the collage sheet. This one was the pain. As you can imagine, there's lots of piecing in here. This is a paint sample I split. Stop and Smell the Roses would not fit. I had to cut it. I was having a hard time finding this color. This is more of a peach. And these are pinks. This is pink, but it's close. I like it in the end, but that was hard. That's nice. That's interesting. That was one of the first ones. Yeah, color, right? We just did that. That one was kind of a pain too. As you see, there's lots of piecing there. Oh, this is cool. This is all one thing here. I added the artistic impulse, and I actually put it on an angle to go with this line. It's not straight. These are all pieced down here. Oh, the cat is pieced on the chair there. It wasn't like that. I put it on. Yeah, that chair, I had that chair for a long time too, and I kind of never used it. I think part of it was I had left white here. I didn't like that, so I wound up cutting it out. And then it had, I don't know, back legs or something else showing that I had left. I wound up cutting that stuff off, and it looked a lot better. This is nice. This is easier. It's not so much, perfect piecing, making everything fit. That's nice. I like those colors. This is one of the first ones. This is washi tape. Pink. Yeah, we did that on camera too. That's nice. Washi tape. This is, separate from the back there. This is nice. Yeah, this one, I don't think I did this on camera. This image, sometimes I do work and complete something, but 9.5 times out of 10, I have to leave it and go do stuff. I'm an adult, what can I say? I have to go do other stuff. So I come back, later, and you forget. This had gotten turned over somehow, and whatever was on the other side matched. And I started gluing this side. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's supposed to be this leopard. Oh, no. So we saved it, but yeah, that was kind of dumb. This is quite different. I had found a bunch of chairs in a magazine, and I wanted to do something with them. So they're in here. Those are scrapbook paper dogs and cats and a fox on them. One lay down here, and then scrapbook paper flowers. So that's quite different. Color again. It's pretty. This is obviously separate from the trees. That's nice. It's kind of a nice, image, and then piecing. That's, if you're lost or what to do, try something like that. Yeah, Vibrant Vibes. That's cool. This had been in the seam of a magazine, so that's why that's like that. I decided to just leave it torn. This is a banister railing that's actually upside down. So think about things like that once in a while. That's an old one. That's nice. This bird is pieced over. So that's just 1, 2, 3. And then the bird. There's piecing on the side, but this is a lot of stuff. It's cool. These glasses are cut out separately. I think I gravitate towards windows a lot. It's more linear stuff. And I think in a way that can kind of help you calm, something like that. You know, if this was another busy thing, I think you'd be in trouble. That's nice. Yeah, these 3 lights are just, you know, cut separately, and then I did use a marker to make them look like they're part of the vine. So this is actually mixed media. That's nice. It's an older one. Now this one I just sort of, you know, filled in around a big image. If you want to, you know, break it down to bare bones, that's technically what that is. It's Christmassy. We did that not too long ago. That's cool. This one, you know, there's white behind there, so there's not too much lines showing, even though it's white. This one has white behind, white behind. By the way, this is a Christmas cactus. I don't think I pointed that out in that video. Now this is definitely colorful. That's pretty cool, you know, for being busy, 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 busy. It's not too bad. It's not too scary. I think because of this, and then this blue area. That's nice. The dots are washi tape. Green and orange. That's nice. That's a lot of piecing, as you can see. It's interesting. And then we did this one because I had back to the start, so this is the last page. So we have to do this all over again. And I would say, no. This tissue paper behind is the yellow. So that one's kind of different. And then that last piece page. The front and back, I was just kind of trying to cover it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't necessarily want it to look like a big collage-y thing like these. This black is just the tape of the composition book. Alright, if you've never tried this, you know, composition books are readily available. They're not too expensive, usually. Look for them around in July when it's back to school sales. This is the 4th one I think I've done. You know, I've different subjects, but used, and they've seemed, for me anyway, they hold up fine. I did Mod Podge the scrapbook paper on. That seems to hold well. I've done that before. If I had worked on both sides, I think you could tell what it would look like. I also think, as you can, you know, as an example, I mean, that's fine, that's okay. But that's an awful lot to take in, whereas this is just one side. And to my brain anyway, you kind of have to match a little bit at least. You don't want to be too different. So that's more thought, more work too. Okay, well, I got this done this year, yay. I really did think I was going to make it. So if you have any questions or anything, let me know, ask in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching any of these videos. And I hope you have a good day.